limbering up, but in a way that protects our low back. So I'm going to go over some of those TA holds that you learned in our foundations lessons, but add some flexibility on top of that. So for these, we are going to be on our back or hands and knees for the majority of them. So if you're not comfortable getting yourself all the way down to the ground, clear off a spot on your bed or find a couch so that you can get into that position. Stretching while laying on our back gives our spine a nice amount of support. So I do like to do some exercise down in this position. So first thing we're going to do, just to warm those muscles up, is about 10 of those transverse abdominis or TA holds. And that is where you're pulling your belly button down towards the spine, flattening the spine onto the mat, and relaxing. And if you want to get some feedback from your hands, put your hands right below your belly button on either side, and you should feel those muscles tighten and relax. So let's do a few more. And as you tighten those muscles, make sure that you can breathe and talk at the same time. Tightening those muscles should mean we stop breathing. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll move into our first stretch. So the goal with these is to be able to hold that TA contraction, stabilize your spine, and then allow other joints and limbs to move while you have a super strong, stable base. So if you feel that TA hold let go while we're doing these, just stop, reset, and continue with the stretch. Stop as many times as you need to. We're going to try and hold each stretch for about 30 seconds. But like I said, if you can't maintain that contraction, just stop and pause. All right, so let's straighten out the left leg. Tighten those ab muscles. You're going to pull the right knee in and just gently move it in a circle. And I'm going to stick with teeny tiny circles because it is easier to keep my spine stable if I'm doing a small motion. And it should feel good. Just go through whatever range of motion you have. And oh, I just felt that contraction let go, so I'm going to pause, retighten. Maybe I'll go in the other direction this time. So your spine is stable, and that hip is gliding. Let's move on to the other side. Straighten the right leg out, pull the left knee in, contract those muscles. Spine is a rock, nice and stable. Here we go. It's one thing to stabilize that spine with a TA hold while nothing else is moving, but that's not how our body functions in real life. We need to be able to move while having a nice stable spine. Do a couple more seconds of this one, then we'll get a little deeper into our stretching. Okay, let's put both feet on the floor to start with. Couple TA holds, rock the spine back and forth. Get out any kinks. For the next one, we're going to bring our legs in. And we're just going to gently rock side to side. Right here, you do not need to worry about holding that spine nice and stable. I'll show you where that comes into play in a second. This kind of feels like a massage on my low back. It should feel good. You can rock up and down, but we're working on getting a little flexibility in that spine. All right, now we're going to get that TA hold, stabilize the spine, and then slowly lower each leg back to the floor. And then relax. Let's do it again. Bring the knees in. Curl yourself into a tiny little ball. You can put your hands behind your knees if it's more comfortable. side to side. See if you can get a little more into that flexion position. And pause. Squeeze those ab muscles. And lower each leg down. Good. Next one we're going to do. You can keep the opposite leg bent or straight. I think I'll leave mine bent. I'm going to grab my right knee, or right leg, excuse me, behind the knee. Tighten those stomach muscles. Stretch up. Stretch down. So I want you to straighten the leg until you feel a little bit of a stretch in the back of the leg. And as the leg is moving, we're really super focused on the spine staying still. So go ahead and use your hands for feedback if you need to. Let's do 2 more. Good. My right leg is on the floor. I'm going to put my hands behind my left knee. Tighten those transverse abdominis muscles. And straighten. If you're at home wondering how you know if those muscles that I keep mentioning over and over are tight, and you'll know because everything around your spine and your pelvis is staying still. So my leg is moving up and down, but there's no movement happening anywhere else. Let's do 2 more. Good. Okay, next one, we're going to stretch out the hip, the back of the hip. Cross one leg over the top of the other leg. You're going to hold onto that top knee and pull it up toward your shoulder. And keep pulling until you feel a stretch right down the back of that hip. And this one we're just going to hold. Because this is a static stretch, and we're not moving like some of the other stretches, you don't need to worry about that TA hold as much. You can just kind of sink into the stretch. Couple more seconds. All right, let's switch to the other side. Cross that left leg over the right, hands on the outside of your left knee. Gently pull that left knee towards your right shoulder, just until you feel these muscles stretch. And we'll stay here for about 20 more seconds, just slowly sinking into that stretch. Great. Okay, both knees on the floor. Let's do a couple of those ab contractions. Remind those muscles that they are working and should be active. Okay, next one we're going to do, I'm going to straighten out your right leg. We're going to take the left leg, bend it towards us, put our hand on the outside of the left knee, and just gently pull it across the body. You should feel a stretch in the outside of this left leg without rotating. We don't want to pull our spine into a rotated position, so keep your hips flat on the floor and just push down on the knee. If you feel that left hip popping up, you've gone too far. Reset and push that left hip down into the floor. Another 15 seconds here. Okay, let's move on to the other side. Straighten out the left leg. Bend the right knee in towards your body. Hands on the outside of the right knee. Right hip stuck to the floor. And pull that right knee down towards the floor. And I'm tight on this side, so you'll see me giving myself a little feedback and reminder with my right hand. Do not let that hip come up. This whole series is about stretching the muscles without irritating or twisting or pulling on the spine. Good. Okay. Slowly roll onto your side. We're going to come up onto our hands and knees. I have two final stretches for you. The first one is the cat and cow, which we've done in other videos. Hands go right underneath the shoulders. Spine is nice and straight. You're still working on that TA hold, so you don't have the feedback from the floor. It's a little harder in this position, but I still want you to think about tightening up those stomach muscles. Let the hips drop down as far as it's comfortable. Make an arch in your spine. Squeeze those stomach muscles and round the back. Squeeze the stomach muscles and lower down. So we're getting a little spinal movement here. Please stay in a comfortable range. If you're dealing with a back injury, that range might be small right now, and that's okay. That will improve with a little practice. Let's do 3 more. Good. Okay, the last one I'm going to give you is definitely a challenge. So if you're not up for this today, if there's any kind of pain, skip it and work on what's called a child's pose, where you push your hips back to your heels and stretch the arms forward. You can do this stretch anyway, even if you want the challenge, because it feels great. Your challenge for today is to tighten those stomach muscles in this position. Lean to the left and bring your right foot up by your right hand. And if that looks like it takes a lot of flexibility, it does. Tighten, shift to the right, bring that left foot up by the left hand. And let's do a couple more. Tighten and step. And remember, if this is too much, if you are not ready for that, work on child's pose. Squeeze the stomach, stabilize the spine, and move the hip. Beth told me this position is called the lizard in yoga. So I guess I feel like I'm a lizard. Let's do 1 more on each side. Tighten and step. Tighten and step. All right, let's sit back into child's pose. Stretch those arms forward. And come on up. Nice work.